Welcome to today's episode of Kathie's Coaching Podcast. I'm your host, Kathie Owen, and today we are having a live discussion inside my school community, the Encouragement Collective community. And I invite you to listen to today's episode where we even come up with your chief encouragement officer and more. So let's get into the episode. All right. Welcome on into the Encouragement Collective. This is the first of our Wednesday meetings inside the Encouragement Collective. My name is Kathie Owen. I am your Chief Encouragement Officer. Yes, your CEO. And today we're going to talk about where that came from, how it came to be, and all that good stuff. And I just want to welcome everybody who's here live. If you want to leave a question in the chat, or if you want to have something in at the end, I'm going to open the table for questions and answers. And I'm going to get into the meat and potatoes of everything today. So I want to share how the Encouragement Collective came to be and how I became the Chief Encouragement Officer, how burnout, encouragement, and sports psychology all came together to shape the movement that we're building here today. So before we get started, just take a deep breath and exhale into the present moment. I'm going to share something with you right here. This book, Inner Excellence, this book is where I found my coaching Bible. Like, I am not kidding you. This is my actual coaching Bible. And how I found that was I was watching a professional football game during the playoffs this past year. What happened was the announcers were making fun of AJ Brown of the Philadelphia Eagles. He is a phenomenal athlete. He's a receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. And because he's a top-notch elite professional athlete, you don't even have to understand sports or anything for me to explain this to you, because what happened was he's kind of a diva because he's really, really good and he doesn't miss a lot of catches. And when he makes them, they're like, what? That's phenomenal. So during this game, he was missing a lot of catches. And the announcers showed him reading this book on the sidelines. And I was like, what is that book? I have to get it. And so the next day I did some research on it, and it said that he said he was reading it because it gave him peace. It gave him peace of mind. And I was like, wow, I got to get that book. I've got to check it out. Why was he reading that? And I can tell you without a doubt, it's everything that I coach as a personal trainer, as a life coach. I have been totally inundated and I've been so excited about sports psychology because that's how I coach everyone I work with. And when I got this book, I'm like, this is my Bible for coaching. Everything he wrote in there, I can tell it was channeled. It's like got reality transurfing. It's got self-mastery. It's got sports psychology. It's got all your favorite athletes and how they keep that mindset despite everything that's going on. So let's go back to AJ Brown. Why was he reading that on the sidelines? He actually had been reading that all the time. And I want to go forward. The Philadelphia Eagles were underdogs throughout the whole playoffs. They won the Super Bowl. As an underdog, they won the Super Bowl. And this book went viral. This book went to the #1 New York Times bestseller. And the author of that book is so cool. He's just like very down to earth. He has what's called Inner Excellence workshops. I follow him on Instagram. And I just really admire his coaching and his style because everything in that book is so relatable. So, for example, every day when I wake up, I open that book to a random page and I'll read a couple of pages and I will apply it to my day. Whether I'll take notes on it or I'll jot it down or I'll look it back up later. I have the book on Audible. I have the book on Kindle. I have the book on the hardback, and I carry that book with me wherever I go. And if I'm encountered with something with someone that I'm coaching, sometimes I'll just open the book and I'll go, okay, let's read this and see what it is. I tell my sons to do this, and it's just like become a phenomenal, like I said, my coaching Bible. And I have really stuck by that. So, what happened with me is I actually had burnout. So, if you don't know my story, over a year ago, I got released from a corporate job, but I loved my job. I was the fitness and wellness director at this company, and this company turned toxic. I mean, severely toxic. And what happened, it happened during the pandemic. So it happened like 5, 6 years ago. When the pandemic hit, they got freaky weird. Like, I'm not kidding you, freaky weird. They were like so scared you were going to catch the virus, even like through your eyes, through your eye tissue, that they made the employees wear these goggles. Yes. Wear these goggles. They had to wear them because they were afraid you're going to catch the virus. Now, I'm just telling you one example because it's so freaking extreme, but take it from a wellness person who's been in wellness for, at this point in time, I'd been in wellness for over 20 years at this point. I'm their freaking wellness director, and they did not consult me about anything whenever it came to that. I'm like, why are y'all not understanding your immune system can take care of this? They were caught up in the propaganda. So just remember that, because what happened, I stayed with this company and HR started to stay stuck in that propaganda, and I was butting heads against them. And they would gaslight the crap out of me. Like, I'd be like, wait a second, this isn't good. Why are y'all doing this? And then they would turn it around on me. And so I got majorly burned out. And I also had severe anxiety. The anxiety was so bad, it was like 24/7. My body was stuck in anxiety and burnout. And I just recently broke through that because this is what happened. I took a break from everything. If you're on my email list, you know I did not email for about 2 months. I did not email my list. I went into meditation and just like stopped listening to everything outside. I didn't look at social media. I didn't listen to any of these coaches that were like, you've got to go live. You've got to do live streams. You've got to do this. And those things are great. Don't get me wrong. It's not that they were wrong, but my body would go into severe anxiety that I couldn't even focus. And what I was being called to was a life of ease. So I didn't know what that was because I'd been going, and my body had become addicted to anxiety. And I was just, seriously, I could feel my body so tense all the time. And so what I started doing was I'd go into meditation, I'd spend time in nature, I'd go to the gym and exercise. I just let my body tell me what we're going to do today. Not only that, I let my intuition start telling me what we're going to do today. If I felt an ounce of anxiety, I would close it. I wouldn't listen to any coaches. I wouldn't listen to anybody but my intuition. And I was hitting a very stressful situation. And just 20 minutes before that situation, I went into meditation and just relaxed and go, okay, I'm just going to let it be. And so I got the bird's eye view in meditation, and you may have heard of that. And that bird's eye view in that meditation showed me where I was in a maze. And there's infinite levels of reality, but I was way down here in this maze where I couldn't get to the other side. And then I'd see the next level where there was a little bit more room, and the next level where there's a little bit more room. But when you get the real bird's eye view and you're way up here and you're looking down, you can see all the solutions, all the possibilities. And I remember that day very distinctly because went into this, what was going to be a high stakes, high stressful meeting. And I went into it by myself. And these people were so nice. They were like, "What do you want, Kathie? We'll give it to you." Da, 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 da. They just like gave me everything I requested. Whereas my mind was going, "This is not going to work. They're not going to do this. I need somebody to help me. They're gonna." I even had another consultant tell me they're going to be asking for this and this and this, and I'm like, holy crap, I'm going to be in litigation or whatever. I just didn't even know that that was going to happen. But what I did was I pictured, while I was in meditation, I pictured everybody ideally. Everybody, from the people that I was talking to the consultant, to everybody who was involved. And this is important. And this is a Neville Goddard technique. When you picture everybody ideal, they're going to turn that way. And if they don't turn that way, that's your discernment to go, oh, this is not my place. For example, if I sat down on my computer and I started to feel anxiety, I'd be like, okay, this is discernment here. We're going to step away. We're going to go spend time in nature. We're going to go look at something more positive. And I'm not kidding you. It totally changed everything. And that is also, sitting in meditation is where Chief Encouragement Officer came from. I also started seeing synchronicities everywhere I went, everywhere. And I didn't turn down any possibilities, any opportunities. I just took them. I went to my Toastmasters meeting. Many of you know I'm in Toastmasters. I highly recommend Toastmasters. It's so much fun. But I went to a meeting one day and one of the guys asked me, he goes, "What's your schedule like? Can you come do a speech? Just your core speech. If you want to do that, we just need a guest speaker." And I'm like, absolutely. I just stayed open to the possibility. And so I went to this meeting and I met some really phenomenal people. I've since joined that Toastmasters group as well, which is giving me more exposure. In Toastmasters, they've even asked me, I'm the vice president of membership, but they've asked me to be an assistant to the director. I'm learning how these different sections work, and there's just so many possibilities that are opening up because I remained open to flow. I remained open to what could happen. I did not turn down, I just stayed open. And not only that, it was ease. It's not like I was like stressed out. Oh my God, I got to go live. Because I specifically remember one day I was trying to go live on LinkedIn because somebody had told me that this is something I needed to do. I could not freaking go live on LinkedIn. And I just said, screw it. And I started recording my Zoom conversation, and I was actually going to post it on my YouTube. And that whole conversation was not in flow. There was no energy. And that's when I shut everything down. And I said, you know what? I'm not doing this anymore. This is not authentic to me. And if you're really watching this and you know me, you know that I'm in authenticity mode right now. This is me. Whereas I was trying to force myself into this box where I was going to be a sleep coach. No, I'm not a sleep coach. I'm a chief encouragement officer. I've been a personal trainer for 25 years, and that's my foundation. But when I'm training somebody, it's usually somebody who's an elite executive who needs mindset work that comes from my coaching manual. And that's what we do. And I just had one of those executives tell me yesterday when I got done with my session with her, she's like, "Kathie, thanks for being my biggest cheerleader." And so that's really what I am. I'm just a cheerleader. I'm not going to say just, because there's so much more to it than that. Because what I will do is I'll help them go through the chaos. The chaos precedes the breakthrough. I don't know about you, but that's what's happened to me all the times. And that's what I was going through, was that chaos. And then I had the breakthrough. I had that breakthrough that saw everything going on. But I'm there to hold your hand through the breakthrough. Maybe you don't need to hire me to do that. Go get this book and just open it up and go through the modules and go through the different exercises. All it is training a professional athlete to perform at their top notch. Y'all know I love my sports, my psychology, and I'm going to end with this story right here about my favorite athlete. And you don't have to know who he is. I just want you to understand this story. So Jose Altuve is my all-time favorite athlete because of this, what I'm about to tell you. He is very short. He's 5'6". He shouldn't even be playing professional baseball. He's been playing for the Astros for many, many years. And the Astros went to the World Series in 2017, and we beat the Dodgers in the World Series. But there was a so-called cheating scandal that went on after that World Series, and the Astros were accused of cheating during this scandal. They were cheating because they were supposedly they were caught stealing signs from the other team. And so that means that they knew what pitch was coming. If you understand baseball, that has been going on since the game began. Nowadays, you can't do it because now they have ear things and they don't do the finger signs and all that stuff like the old-fashioned way. But okay, if you know the pitch is coming, you're still going to have to hit a ball that's coming at you 100 miles an hour. And even the pitcher doesn't know if, okay, let's say he says he's going to throw a curveball. Well, that curveball could go off and it could not come over the plate. There's so many different things that could go on that it's just almost impossible to just like go, oh, I'm cheating. Okay. And all the teams do it. So the Astros were just a scapegoat. The reason I'm telling you that is because today, what is it? 8 years later, Jose Altuve gets booed intensely when he comes up to bat. And just this past summer, we were playing the Yankees. That's one of our big opponents. And the Yankee fans can be really, really ugly and hateful. I love all athletes, so don't get me wrong. It doesn't matter who they play for. I love them all. I don't like the way the fans are because there's so much that goes on. You do know it's a hard game to play. So Jose Altuve this summer, he'd come up to bat and he was booed so bad. And he was actually cussed at by the fans in New York that you would think they had to turn the TV volume down because they were saying bad words and there's kids watching the game and they didn't want people to hear it. But I'm like, holy crap. So what happened was Jose Altuve being booed, he'd still hit a home run. It would shush him down. So imagine being under that kind of pressure and still performing at your top notch. And that's what you can do with sports psychology, with having the right mindset. And this book provides those answers. It is so freaking phenomenal. And that's what I coach with. So what has happened is now synchronistically, bridge of incidents, whatever you want to call it, I have met with so many different wellness professionals that we are now building a team of consultants where we're doing this together and we're building this business together. And we're going to be doing events nationwide, worldwide. And if you want to be one of those professionals that's on this, I know Sophia is on the call with us today. She is also in here and she's providing her expertise with this phenomenal thing because I was just hired by a very high level executive in the Houston area. And they helped me come together with all the pieces of the puzzle that I needed to do. So it's not just me. And I want to go back to corporate wellness. I am not just a corporate wellness coach. I am not just a personal trainer. It's bigger than that because the gifts that I've been given, I'm using now. I'm using my expertise in sports psychology, my expertise in public speaking, my expertise across the board. Whereas when corporate wellness, go back to the job I had that it really burned me out, I was a personal trainer. I ran a gym for their employees. They actually insulted my intelligence by saying I was just a fitness instructor. And I'm sorry, but I did more than that. And the reason why is because if you're a free personal trainer, you're only going to get 2 or 3 people that come in there. And my passion was like, I'm trying to get everybody because not everybody wants to go to the gym. So I would go do wellness talks. I would do wellness events. I did all of these different things, but yet I was just a fitness instructor, which actually insulted my intelligence and actually hurt them because it means that they don't really care about their employees. And I don't want to work with somebody like that. And that is why I left corporate wellness in my rearview mirror because I'd rather work with an elite, top level executive of a multi-million, billion-dollar company who really wants to change the world or do something with their knowledge and expertise that's going to make a difference inside their company or their board of directors or whatever it may be. And now this is what's come to fruition. And I love it because it's not just me. We've got Hannah who does boundaries. We've got Jacinta who does resilience. We've got Sophia who does sound healing and DNA healing. We've got Jenna who does Pilates. We've got Kate who does the hero's journey. And also, all of our gifts interact with each other. There's just so that's why I'm the CEO or chief encouragement officer of my team. But I'm also that for these companies where they go, okay, guess what? We need something more extensive. We want to do a wellness event for our leaders. Well, guess what? We have one planned and it's coming up in such and such, and you are invited to attend. And then we all get together and we have these awesome wellness events. So I am going to open the floor for conversation, question and answer, and let's see what we got here. And if not, what I'll end up doing if we just don't have a lot to talk about, I'll do like a Joseph Rodriguez style. I will open the book and show you how this book will like answer a question you may have at the time.
Well, I just want to congratulate you for for all the things that you've done, for all of your accomplishments. I I I met you a year ago through the mastermind, and I I I was there at all the meetings, and I know as a group we all share our challenges, and it's so nice to see you have come so far with everything that you've done and everything that you've learned. And I can see you using all the gifts that you've developed. And especially like with the mastermind group that we're in, when speaking from the place of knowing, that is a big key that's missing in a lot of wellness coaches, in a lot of coaches, period. And I think the sector that you are entering, in that demographic, there are a lot of people out there who are well accomplished, who have earned maximum amount of money and have gone places, and yet there's still something they feel they're missing. And I feel that what you have learned and what we have learned as a group will be able to answer what's missing, which is why the element is a game changer, and it's different. And I know that um, they will be able to see the value beyond what they've experienced and what they expect. It's beyond what their expectations are. I'm sure I could feel it and I know it.
Oh, yeah. And actually yesterday I had a call with a marketing company that I'm gonna start working with, and there's one reason why I even hired this marketing company, and it had to do with the way they messaged me. So they found me on LinkedIn, and he talked about my business in a way that was like, how did he freaking know that? And he knew everything that I wanted. And you know how most of the times when somebody in LinkedIn reaches out to you, hey, do you need a corporate wellness program? Or do you need this? Well, wait, wait. If you're going to provide a service for me, please provide some value first. And that's the way I want to market. Like, I want to market like that. And I love that they understood my ideal client. So, yesterday I had a meeting with them, and it was a 2-hour meeting. And they
Wow.
work with, what did he call me? He called me like a transformational coach. Yes, that's exactly what I am. And I've been
Mhm,
doing this so long. But he said that it's like a Tony Robbins, but
mhm,
there's a point where Tony Robbins can take you to, but you got to work a little bit further. And what I like about our mastermind that Sophia's talking about is with Joseph Rodriguez, and the thing is uh, we we go another level. We go to the next step. And so I have been inside Cynthia's self-mastery program, and I just ended it last week. And this was huge transformation in my business and in my life because she's the one that coached me through the fire. Because,
mhm,
and not just her, it was everybody, of course. But the thing is I got to this point where I was talking about the meditations I would go into and I'd see from the bird's eye view. And she was always telling me, live from the end, live from the end. And I couldn't get it. And then finally, in the last month of her program, she like I was, what do you call it? I was forced to just go all in on living from the end, like with Neville Goddard when he was working under Abdullah. He went to Abdullah and said, "I'm not in Barbados. That's where I want to go. I'm in
mhm,
New York City and it's cold." And so Abdullah slammed the door on him and said, "You are in Barbados and you are flying there first class." And he slammed the door on him. And then a few weeks later, he went there. What Cynthia did, she wouldn't slam the door on me, but she used that analogy several times. Like she said, "This is your loving reminder to stop talking about what's in your 3D world and only live from the end." So whatever my vision was, I had to stay very, very focused on that. I had to feel it because we all know the feeling is a secret. And when I started doing that, she also had a calendar where I tracked my wins. And the wins I had were like so phenomenal. Here's one win that was in my calendar, and this was like in the first week. I was sitting in a coffee shop, and this lady behind me was talking about, this is so random. She goes, "Yeah, I started to picture him ideally. And I told God, I'm just picturing him ideally." And she said, and then all of a sudden he joined therapy. I don't know who she was talking about. I don't know if it was her son or her husband or whatever. And she started to say how he changed. Well, that's the truth. That's it. Bottom line, if you start to picture people ideally, they heal. They find their way. And if they don't in the 3D world, there's a reason, but can really, really picture it. And I started picturing even my partner. I started picturing him ideally, even though he's in my ear going "Nah, rah, 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 rah," and complaining about all this stuff. And then in just 24 hours, he totally transformed, like to a different person. And I was sold. I was like, "Okay, God, I get it. I'm not ever gonna doubt this anymore." Did I? Yeah, I did. But that was like in the first few weeks of the program, of the going all in. I'd been working with Cynthia for 7 months, maybe a little bit longer than that, because I joined her before in an earlier program. And I'm going to also have a YouTube video about my success story with her because it was just so phenomenal. And my point in telling you all of that is because I strive to coach like Cynthia coached me, because she was so kind and so loving, and she pictured me ideally, and she held that for me. When I hold that for my clients now, their successes are phenomenal because I'm coaching like Cynthia. She's a great model. And I think that, it's just like Joseph too. If you have a question for Joseph, he pictures you ideally, and slowly but surely he guided me through the whole thing. And he even, I would go into invisible counsel with him because I'm not inside the mastermind anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But this book even talks about going into invisible counsel with Napoleon Hill talks about it in Think and Grow Rich. So it's not like some kind of far-fetched thing. It really does work. He would talk to presidents that were gone, about his coaching from this book. And that's what I do. And and so I think that that's what Cynthia does. I think that's what any excellent coach does. And I strive to be like that. Like, that's why I get paid the big bucks to do what I do. And that's just the way it works. And that's what my team looks like too, because I'm very discerning about they have to be like that. They can't just go, "Oh, I'm just going to teach nutrition and fitness." And those were the kind of coaches I used to work with. But now it's another level, and we all can get there. I'm happy to coach you to get there too, if that's what you strive to be. But it takes a certain level of discernment to really see that and understand, just like that lady that I heard at the coffee shop. I'm picturing them ideally. And that was so synchronistic. It just it really made it stick, because I'm like, how random is that? I'm at a coffee shop and my friend got up to go get a cup of coffee, and I hear this conversation back here. That had to be God. I'm just saying.
Right. Because everyone is you pushed out.
Yeah. And I'm totally convinced of that now. Totally convinced of that, because even people that I supposedly didn't like or rubbed me the wrong way, I would find things in them that was a gift or something nice, and I'd be like, "Oh, yeah." And then next thing I know, they're like transforming before my eyes, and I'm hanging out with them by myself, just having cocktails with them. And before, I supposedly didn't like them, and now all of a sudden we're hanging out together and having a good time. It just it just didn't make sense. But it takes some what do you call it? Persistence. You have to stay persistent in that. You can't just go, "Oh my God, I pictured him ideal and they're still a jerk." No, you got to stay persistent, because it will change. Just try it.
Right. Yeah, and that's when you know you've healed too, is when you could see the gift that somebody not ideal has given you, then that's what helps the change and the shift happen, and all of a sudden you're thanking this person for giving you all that crap because they've empowered you in some way.
Right, right. It's just like my old job. I still grieve about it because I loved that job and I loved everybody I worked with, and I was not valued and appreciated. But I look back at that, and if I was still there, I still see some of those same people, and I see how they're still living. It's like they're living in this box with a glass ceiling. And when they let me go, I broke through that glass ceiling, and I'm like, oh, okay. This is where I'm meant to be. It's not there. That was just in a box that I needed to get outside of that box. And it was a gift, even though it hurt like all get out. But, it happened. And it's like, that's why we're coming up with the phoenix, because it's like rising above through the phoenix fire to rise above that. And that's what we all do. We help each other do that, and we help each other coach to do that. Because when you say that's how you know you healed, I know I'm healed from anxiety because my body does not feel that anymore. I don't feel that tightness at all. And if I get an ounce of it, that's just a sign to me that I'm doing something I'm not supposed to be doing. Hold on. You're supposed to be either thinking something different, feeling something different, or believing something different. And that's just a sign, just letting you know. And it feels so good to be healed because that anxiety was so bad. It was so bad that because I'm healed, I've even lost weight. And not even that I was trying, but I was like, that cortisol was just, and adrenaline was releasing in my body 24/7. It was damaging my body. It was causing inflammation. And as we talked about in that Zinzino call, that my inflammation was a 49. Most people that I've been testing are like a 19, a 20, 26. You're supposed to be a 4. Mine was a 49. I don't know what it is yet. I haven't retested, but I'm sure that was part of it because my body was just, you couldn't obviously see that I had gained a lot of weight, but now people are noticing. And I'm like, well, it's just because I'm not in fight or flight 24 hours a day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it feels good too. It's like, whew, I finally feel like myself again. And it just took those 2 months to really just sit back and go, okay, I'm not going to do anything. And it wasn't that I wasn't doing nothing. I was actually rising above to find what I was actually called to do, which was more than just corporate wellness. It's bigger than that. And I feel so proud of that, and I can't wait to see what kind of transformations happen with others that I'm working with, and on top of what my team and I are gonna do. It's just gonna be phenomenal, and it's such a blessing. It's, like, worth every ounce, every tear, every blood, sweat, and
Yeah,
everything. All right, that concludes today's episode. If you want to hear the full episode, be sure to join the school community. The link to that will be in the show notes and description below. And there is always a blog post that goes with every episode that I do that includes bonus resources, including the book I mentioned today and more. So be sure to check that out in the show notes and description below. That's our episode for today. I trust that you found it helpful, and if you know someone who could benefit from this, please share it with them. And until next time, I will see you next time. Peace out and namaste.